Moikka moi! It's Riikka Kovasin here with a video using paper garden supplies. This time I'm making a Halloween inspired card using paper garden printables and some other elements. When starting this process, I first pick up some paper garden printables that would go to the theme of the make. Some of these are actual printables and some of these are from older paper garden kits, so they may be not longer available in the web page. I use one of the printables as my background and then use the others to cut out elements to be layered later on. The moon I'm thinking at this stage to kind of make a bit more dimensional, so I'm mounting it to a piece of cardstock using double-sided adhesive sheet. I'm also using stamps to make some elements for the card. The clock faces and kind of plant seed pods are from a paper garden set, but the focal point of Raven and a cage is another Stampendous stamp. As you could see, I stamped the clock faces on top of the white cardstock and the other elements on top of grey. I'm using a stamping tool especially for the focal point, so I get a nice crisp image. Have all the elements done, it's time to cut them loose. What I also did was to cut this narrow but long piece out of AB Studio pattern paper 12 by 12, so I'm adhering the printable on top. This is to make it a little bit sturdier. I inked around the edges of the printable paper before attaching it, and I'm also adding some stamping to the background to create a little bit of visual texture there. Then I apply crackle paste. At first I thought to apply it only to the background, but then I thought, well, it would go nicely to the clocks as well, and maybe even to the moon, and then I kind of went a little bit overboard and treated 3 elements using the same paste. But, well, cracks go nicely to a Halloweenish theme, right? After applying the paste, I then let everything air dry to get these varying crackles. So there's a smaller and a bigger amount of the paste throughout all the elements. There will be bigger and smaller cracks. To highlight the cracks, I first thought of using watercolor, but it kind of seeped through the cracks and ended up coloring the background rather than just the cracks. So I then ditched that medium and instead went with acrylic. For the background I only added some splashes, but for the clock faces I added some diluted acrylic paint and then wiped excess off to get these cracks kind of highlighted. Then it's time to start the actual composition. To give me some kind of guideline, I first add some twine to the background. This is just to make a base for the composition, create this horizontal line, which I then can follow. I use a stapler to attach the twine in place. On top, I then add a cluster of the printables or stapled together, and then the stamped focal point. For that, I'm using foam tape to make it a little bit more dimensional. My main point is one of the printables that says, "Lord, what fools these mortals be." And I really wanted to show that, so I'm putting it a little bit to the side so the text is readable. Then it's just the details, the moon, the clock faces, and a little printable with some moths. I end up cutting a little piece out of the moon to make it fit better to the composition. Of course, if I would sketch kind of the composition before attaching anything, then it would be easier and not to cut pieces out of the elements. But well, it's doable this way as well. For these elements, I'm using just craft glue. When I then had all the elements adhered, or the paper elements adhered, I also mounted the card to a self-made black card base. Then it's just the final touches. First, I added a couple of little labels here and there just to bring that vintagey vibe to the card, and then I finish it using these metal embellishments. A little token to the other side, also saying something about foolish mortals, and then a skull and a bone kind of emblem to the other side. I use craft glue to adhere those in, and after that the card is done. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little video, and if you like the video, please consider subscribing and hit that bell sign to be notified when a new video comes live. With this, I'm wishing you a very happy September. Thank you. Bye.